and welcome to tonight's feature. Tonight's feature is an episode from the Twilight Zone named The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. I picked this episode. I really want to talk about other episodes also, but this episode kind of stood out because it's pretty relevant today, as it seems like it has been maybe for the last 70 years also. It's all about fear. So yeah, the episodes take place in a classic American street. People are happy, doing garden work, repairing their cars, their kids playing, and a lot of happiness and joy. When all of a sudden in the sky there's a big flash, a lot of all the neighbors stops what they're doing, looks up in the sky, and yeah, you can see the screen flashing, and it disappears. And this one guy said, "Is it a meteor?" No, he's not sure. So they all notice that all of a sudden the power is gone. There's not power in any of the houses, any electricity or apparatus that needs electricity doesn't work. So this carpenter says he's gonna take a look at the other street to see if they have power, so he leaves. While two other neighbors are talking and says that they should go to town to see if there's any news about some power outage. So this one guy sits in his car and tries to start it, and it won't start. So it seems like also the cars doesn't work now. So there's not power in their house, there's not cars working. So he tells the other neighbor we should walk into town. Out of the sideline, this kid shows up and says, "Well, it's the aliens. They don't want us to leave." And this is where the seeds are placed, I guess, because he starts talking about this comic book he read, that the aliens will come and attack them and so on and so on. And that they placed people on Earth before they will invade Earth that looks just like humans, with a man and a wife and two kids. And it's a pretty standard. It wouldn't have gone this easy in real life, but I know and understand what they're saying here. So they start to look at each other, and even a few people in the background are looking right into the camera, so it feels like you are also one of the suspects in this alien invasion thing. So they start talking around each other and starting to who can it be and so on and so on. So we skip ahead just a bit, and we can see one of the neighbors are actually able to start the car. And the people are like, "Well, look at that. We can't start our car, but this guy can start his car, so he might be an alien. Maybe he's one of them." So they run over there, and this mob, and actually one of the main neighbors are telling, "Oh, well, we're not mobs here. Take it easy. Don't rush over there." So they run over and asks why he can start the car. And he doesn't know himself, he says. His car just started. And as they are confronting this guy, the car stops. And pretty much all standing around scratching their heads once more, and the car starts again. And yeah, they are now sure that this guy is most likely an alien. And this one lady just all of a sudden remembers, she has seen this neighbor walking outside at night and watching the sky. And it's weird behavior. And this one neighbor is really he is an alien. We need to take and watch him. And this neighbor that is accused of being an alien says that he's having a hard time sleeping. That's why he takes a walk outside to take a look at the stars. But the people won't listen. So we skip ahead to the night, and all the neighbors are standing around this neighbor's house, watching him. And they start to tell something weird stuff that they have noticed about this person. This one neighbor that was originally going to the city with this other neighbor steps up and says, "Hey, well, what are we doing here? Why are you blaming this guy and are so sure that this guy is an alien?" Then the other neighbor is starting to argue, and this guy that steps up for the other neighbor gets blamed because he has a radio, one person says, and we have never seen the radio. What are you doing with the radio? Or are you talking to the aliens? And you can see this build up in the community, that they're pointing their fingers at each other, starting to everybody is really on edge, not sure what's happening, and starting to blame each other. And all of a sudden you hear footsteps, and you can see this figure in the background coming slowly towards them from the shadows. So this one neighbor runs to get a shotgun and says, "We need to kill them because this is alien invading us." So a lot of neighbors are saying, "Wow, you're sure about this?" And this one main neighbor are grabbing his shotgun and says, "You can't shoot anything that you're not sure of." While the neighbor that actually got the shotgun just grabs it back and shoots. Turns out, when they run towards that shadow that's laying dead on the ground now, so as they run towards the dead guy, they see that it's one of the neighbors that went off to see if the other streets had power outages also. So as they are like trying to figure out what they were gonna do because they just shot an innocent person, the lights in the guy's house that shot this guy turns on. So all the other neighbors now are turning against this guy. He has been pushing that other people have been aliens. He has been pushing that it's this and this and this. He gets, I guess, ganged up on. So he runs towards his house as people are throwing rocks at him now, freaking out because he's most likely the alien now. And this guy is like holding his head and says, I promise, I'm not the alien. I know who the alien is though. And of course the neighbors are once again listening to what he's saying. It's the boy, he says, because the boy was the one that told about the aliens in the first place. Now this woman jumps forth and screams and like he knew what was gonna happen. How did he knew how it was gonna happen? It just shows that people in distress, I guess, working out from their adrenaline. Because the boy clearly said that he had this comic book in the beginning. And in the comic book, this and this and this happened. So he really states that he read this in a comic book. Now this woman freaks out and says, how did he know? It clearly states in the beginning, but now the neighbors doesn't remember how he was able to know all this. So they slowly are ganging up on this kid now, and the episode kind of ends that they are running after this kid and his mother, and we zoom out and actually see two aliens that has human forms, which is correct. And the alien are telling that you don't need to do it so overcomplicated because Earth will eventually, I guess that's the story here, Earth will doesn't need to be invaded because they will eventually destroy themselves if they are handed the right situation, which is power outage in this episode and uncertainness. So the end of the episode ends up that the aliens just turns a switch so the power goes out and they leave again because they will come back most likely and the Earth have destroyed themselves because of just one little button push. So I guess the main message in this story is that monsters, that's title in this episode, is you. You are the monster. Every guy or woman or kid in the street are the monster. Because if the imagination gets to run wild, you will become a monster because of fear and uncertainness. So the reason I think this is the message works today is because it's the same thing that's happening today in the media, social media, fingers pointing and so on, because you don't know. You assume because you're afraid, and fear is a dangerous feeling if you cannot control it.